They say when it rains, it pours. And for MrBeast, it's been pouring controversies. So, after months of silence, he's finally setting the record straight. No beast left untamed.
Irrelevant news.
MrBeast did an interview with Oompaville to clear the air, address controversies, and lay his cards on the table. He even swore on a Bible because you've got to have holy receipts to back things up.
You're a man from North Carolina. I'm from Virginia.
The Bible Belt.
The Bible Belt,
Yep.
Exactly.
I know what this means.
This means it's legit.
Yes. Okay.
There we go.
I was not expecting that.
Okay.
It's just like legal now.
It is. I can go to jail.
He explained his initial silence during the allegations as legally advised, not an attempt to ghost anyone, proving even MrBeast isn't immune to the internet's haunt takes.
You actually kind of laid out the timeline there. The Ava stuff came out, and I put out that tweet. We hired the investigators to go look into it, and part of that investigation is they recommended that I not talk about drama or really do anything online because it might influence, witnesses or any people they might interview or ex-employees. So it's a little unfortunate because I told them, okay, I'll wait till the investigation is over. And I believe that was literally like a week before the dog pack video came out, and then. Truthfully, just in transparency, I've never done one of these like big investigations before. And in my head, it was gonna last like 2 or 3 weeks. It ended up taking a couple months, apparently combing through all the documents and doing all the interviews and everything. Just took way longer than I thought because I've never had to bring in a top tier law firm and a former federal prosecutor and let them, do this really big thing. And so that kind of concluded a couple weeks ago when I put out the tweet of the follow-up.
Yeah.
Like that was the day I got the conclusion of it.
He explained a third-party investigation found isolated incidents of workplace harassment, which were handled swiftly because when it comes to workplace issues, he doesn't play games.
First off, to just set the foundation, I think a lot of people are saying, oh, of course, Jimmy did an internal investigation and found himself, they didn't find any wrongdoing, which is also not true, which I assume we'll go into that more later. They did find some wrongdoing, just not in regards to like the serious Ava allegation. So that's a, false truth. And then on top of that, it wasn't an internal investigation. It was an external investigation, which was clearly laid out in the things we showed.
Yeah, a third-party investigation.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, it is a little bit of a, like, a lot of people I saw were saying like, well, you paid them. And it's like, well, yeah, top tier lawyers and federal prosecutors don't work for free, so I have to pay them.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how to debunk that one. I mean, it just is what it is. But yeah, we hired Quinn Emanuel, which is one of the top law firms in the world. Like, I mean, it was very expensive, but I intentionally picked them because they have a reputation and they're not just going to destroy their entire business to be biased towards me, you know what I mean? And then it was led by a former federal prosecutor who did the whole thing. I mean, it was pretty intense. I mean, they did tons of interviews. I mean, transparently, they even like scanned my phone, dug through, like they have messages I sent to my girlfriend. And I'm like, why is this even relevant? And they're like, I mean, if you want a thorough one and you want us to like be confident in what we're saying, we need to see everything. Like they went pretty hardcore on it, which is why it ended up taking a couple of months. Because truthfully, when I started this process, I didn't realize like how intense it was.
He addressed how some employees, including his girlfriend, joined the 100 boys versus 100 girls video due to pandemic-related gaps, because nothing says teamwork like a socially distanced challenge.
Like she said on the podcast, we had 100 boys, 100 girls. They're competing in a video. Leading up to the video, they're supposed to quarantine. This was years ago when, at the height of COVID. A lot of questions people have about my videos, like that in these recent things I've noticed, usually the answer is like COVID, like why things aren't as like we would normally do it. But in this instance, they quarantined. When they showed up to the studio, a couple people on both sides tested positive for COVID. We didn't have them all in a group. We, isolated, tested. And so now, I'm stuck with a tough decision because we have all these people who just took off work for a week and took even more days off work to film this video. A couple people on each side of the 100 girls, 100 boys tested positive for COVID. I can't go grab random people off the street because they haven't quarantined, right? And back then, I think COVID tests are better now, but back then, it took like 2 days for the COVID test to be able to pick up whether or not you had COVID, something like that. Not a doctor. This isn't Joe Rogan. I obviously. Bro, no one knows that though, right? I could have just gone and grabbed random people off the street and it would have been fine. But I was trying to like be protective of the contestants. So my employees were routinely quarantining back then because, in the studio and things like that, we didn't want an outbreak. So I just went to the employees who weren't working on the 100 girls versus 100 boys video and was like, hey, I don't want to cancel this video. Who wants to be in it? And so a couple of them volunteered, filled in the empty gaps. My girlfriend quarantined with me, so I threw her in there. And then we got the numbers up. I was good, good. The video's on. And yeah, they were competing for money like everyone else. Transparency, I'll look at the camera. No, they were not there to rig it. I did not tell them what to get out. I did not tell them what to do. They had their own free will.
MrBeast addressed CGI claims, clarifying it was used for minor touch-ups, not major illusions, because no one's trying to turn Minecraft builds into Avatar.
Honestly, truthful, dumb mistake. At the start of one of our Beast Philanthropy videos, they were trying to show what this like building looked like in the past. And in the past, that hospital wasn't there. So they removed it in the editing. Which, and this is just like a small part of this isn't even like the point of the video was that we built this hospital or whatever. There was just a shot at the beginning. But some people saw that and like thought we did build it, which is not the intention. And so it's just a dumb mistake. Like trust me, when I saw that, I talked to the editors. I was like, come on, like, you know, I have 100 editors and obviously we have a bunch of different channels and things like that. So it's hard for me to like speak with all of them, but it was just truthfully a silly mistake. But we never said we built that hospital or anything, but I could see how some people might perceive that we were trying to like give off that we were. And it's a little unfortunate because Beast Philanthropy, my YouTube channel, how do I say this where it's like I'm not trying to, like, is literally owned by a 501c3. Like, it's a YouTube channel that is a nonprofit, which is crazy. Like, as far as I know, that's the only one. And Beast Philanthropy does so much good. And like that, you know what's the only reason people, this is what's funny, because like to the people like trying to call me evil and say we fake philanthropy, the only reason anyone even knows any of this is because we actually did a behind the scenes video on that video. So like clearly I wasn't aware of this because we did BTS and we were the ones who revealed this information. You know what I mean? So like if we were trying to hide things, like we wouldn't have done BTS on that video. That's how people got this information.
When called out for unpaid surgeries in the 1,000 blind surgeries video, he chalked it up to a clerical error and doubled down to ensure his donations had 20/20 hindsight.
Basically, we did a video where we helped 1,000 people see again. We off camera actually did 800 other surgeries. So we did 1,800 surgeries. I just only put 1,000 in the video. And for a lot of them, we worked through with the charity just to make sure things were, you know, because they had a lot of experience with this. And then that charity worked with a lot of doctors on the ground and other little charities. And one of the charities that they worked with did a couple dozen surgeries. I don't know the exact number. I'm gonna say around 30. And then the charity we were working with was supposed to release the funds to him afterwards to pay for it. There's a little bit of a misunderstanding. They didn't get it, so we ended up paying for like 970, and like I didn't know of this, but like that little misunderstanding never got taken care of. So then the charity that did the 30 surgeries made a video saying, hey, you know, we didn't get paid. Somehow that never ended up on my radar for 8 months, which is honestly crazy. I don't know how no one sent that to me. We obviously had no knowledge of it. And then I saw it a couple weeks ago and I was like, whoa, I instantly called the team we were working with and I was like, what's going on here? And then we looked through it all, blah, blah. And then I was just like, I just paid them. So I actually double paid for those surgeries and just paid them separately. Obviously just a little misunderstanding, 1,000 surgeries. Even if you here's a couple ways you could look at this rationally. If we did 970 surgeries, why would I intentionally not pay the last 30 to save 3%? Just nuke the entire rep of the video just to save 3% of money.
He defended the impact of Team C's and Team Trees, noting their success wasn't just in the pounds of trash removed, but in inspiring millions, proving he's the green beast we didn't know we needed.
Oh, the whole point though of Team C's, which we've said this multiple times publicly, same thing with Mark Rober, was to inspire millions of people around the world to be more conscious of these things and to like just care and be more aware, right? Like over 1,000 creators made videos on Team C's talking about the environment. I made a video that I believe has 100 million views, Mark Rober, all these other big creators. And all these people that look up to these creators saw a video of these creators talking positively about the environment. And like, my thing I would say to them is like, when people are like, oh, it only removed like half a day's worth of trash that's put into the ocean. How do you quantify the impact of those millions of people who got inspired to be more cognizant of these things and extrapolate that over the next decade? You know what I mean? Like, no one seems to factor that in because it doesn't fit the agenda. I stand by Team C's. I think it was a phenomenal project. I think it did a lot of good. And I would challenge anyone else to try to remove 34. I mean, it wasn't me, it was the whole YouTube community. But like, if you have a better solution, go do it. But to me, 34 million pounds of trash out of the ocean plus, you know, inspiring millions of people to be more cognizant of it. I think it's a win.
He slammed Dogpack's claims as pure fiction, saying he's also considering legal action, because when you spread lies, you'd better pause and think twice.
Are you going to sue Dogpack?
Well, you know, there's tons of examples of him intentionally manipulating things to not be true and posting it online. Tons and tons and tons of that. Soggy has basically an hour and 27-minute video, and an hour of it is just flat out proving manipulation and lies, and caused a lot of harm to my businesses. I mean, I've literally had people pull out millions of dollars and then tell me it was directly because of his video. And don't worry, I instantly was like, can you send that in writing? So, you know, if I win a case or anything, I can directly point damages. No reason why. And so, I mean, it's just unfortunate. Like, I don't want to be put in this situation, but probably gonna have to. I mean, it's just, I mean, what do you do if someone's just spreading misinformation about you and, you know, just causing harm to your business and like getting it to the point where you might have to potentially fire people because it's costing you so much revenue? It's like, it's not fair to the people in my companies, you know what I mean? It's just sad, you know? It's not a thing I take joy in.
He tackled insider trading allegations, explaining that his crypto investments were handled by fund managers, leaving him more beast mode than Bitcoin bro.
The gist of this report was Jimmy is too stupid to like make this kind of money, therefore it must be insider trading. This is his wallet, you know. Clearly there was insider trading because he never would have been able to make this kind of money. When in reality, which is what I told Coffee in that statement we gave him, it was managed by a fund. So I wasn't the one managing the wallet. You know, I've never had access to that wallet. I've never done the buying and selling on that wallet. There's a actual professional who's written books on crypto and lived and breathes crypto every second of the day managing it. So most of the allegations there like are just answered by like, I am too stupid to do that. That's why a fund was managing it. You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, like Coffee said, like if he literally said this in a video. If you like Jimmy, then you're like, yeah, he has answers for everything and just checks out. And if you don't like Jimmy, then you're gonna go, you know, there's obviously wrongdoing here.
He elaborated how the toll of false allegations hit hard, jeopardizing partnerships and causing stress for his team because even the toughest beast can't carry the weight of drama alone.
As long as people are just spreading that disinformation, I mean, it's gonna be pretty hard to convince these people, but hopefully once that dies down, I think it's just more of a time thing because, yeah, it'd be nice, like, because, yeah, the charity definitely needs that whole, like, disinformation thing to kind of just stop. Like, I spend $150,000 a month, like, so I pay for the employee's salary, so all the revenue from the videos goes straight towards doing our projects. So I cover all this employees, a little bit of overhead, that kind of stuff. So that way, if we get, like, a $400,000 brand deal, plus the ad revenue from the video, we can, like, spend all that money on, like, you know, buying shirts for, you know, homeless people or whatever it is. So I put that money in, but this like, this past week when we also put the $150,000 in the account, I had to put another $1 million in to make up for like 2 lost brand deals. So I'm like now having to like plow money in on top of the, you know, $150,000 a month I'm already plowing in, on top of filming the videos and doing all that. And it's just, yeah, it's just brutal, to be honest, because I can't do that forever.
He shared how small editing mistakes snowballed into major online overreactions, and his team felt the brunt of it, proving that in the internet age, one frame can make or break your frame of reference.
A lot of these things, what bothers me is that they're employees, even for the charity, like not, regardless of the people we help and the projects we do, I also just have a lot of people who work for my charity, you know what I mean? Like, and those people, like I just, a lot of these things, like the first thing that jumps in my mind is like, it's just not fair to them. You know what I mean? Like, think of like the Wells Project. We worked on that for a year. You know what I mean? Like, think of my employees who worked on that and poured everything they had into that project over the course of a year, and then like some small editing slip up, and now everything they did that they put their stamp of approval, they put their name on, they showed their family, so they made, it's now being discredited. You know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of like, it's very depressing for them too. And I'm like, you know, what do I say? I'm like, you know, it's brutal.
Critics of his film charity efforts were met with a laundry list of off-camera good deeds, from monthly payments to surgeries, showing that sometimes charity really does clean up well.
It's a big criticism I get, which is funny because if I do something off camera, how do you know about it? So all the people who tweet all the time or whatever go, you wouldn't do anything unless it's on camera. He only does it because it's on camera. How do you know?
Yeah.
Literally, how do you know? I mean, and does it defeat the purpose if I tell you right now? I mean, I will, just because now everyone assumes the worst. So, but it's just like, it's just that one's always been a crazy one to me every time I've seen those go viral. But I mean, now it sounds like weird to just list them off because it's like, feels like I'm bragging. But I mean, the first one that pops to my head is like the Mark person that we gave $1 million that actually got slandered in a lot of this controversy. I knew that a lot of people who come into that kind of money typically go bankrupt, so I gave him a couple $1,000s a month every month for like 4 or 5 years after that video. Never mentioned it publicly, just to help us transition to his new lifestyle.
Right.
That was an easy one. I mean, we did 800 surgeries off camera for blind. Never mentioned that. I'm bringing it up now because the controversy is making me.
He detailed ethical cocoa sourcing for Feastables, including fair wages and child labor remediation. Because when it comes to chocolate, he's all about sweet justice.
It's funny because like even things like Feastables, we do a lot to ethically source it, and I spent an entire week in Ghana, earlier this year, just going like working on the farms for Feastables, on the cocoa farms, and then cutting the cacao and fermenting it, the QC, working alongside the farmers, the entire supply chain to make sure it's ethically sourced. I never posted that anywhere.
Mold and recall rumors around Lunchables were squashed, with MrBeast blaming storage mishaps because he's serving snacks, not science experiments.
The mold thing, here's the thing. We, every single lunchie with cheese meat is USDA inspected. There is no mold when it leaves our factory. Yeah. Like, we have the highest QC standards imaginable. Like, what do we have? Why would we ship that out? Like, that doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean? And we obviously have the best experts in the world. I mean, even once these things come out, I mean, we brought even more. They're pouring up and down the lines, making sure everything's good. It's just, the thing is, here's a context a lot of people leave out. Look at, I don't want to name specific brands but take a specific brand that comes into your mind when you think of something like Lunchly, something that's very similar, specific brand, I don't know, other brands, competitors, and Google their name and put the word mold behind it. You'll see thousands upon thousands of examples. And that, I think, is a key context a lot of people leave out in this because they're acting like this is just a thing with us. Once it leaves your factory, a truck that's delivering it could technically take a sharp turn and a box fall and puncture the seal, or honestly, even something as dumb as like when it's put on the shelves at the store. Like, I can't stop someone from walking to Walmart and grabbing a Lunchly,
right,
going to the potato chip aisle, putting it there, and then like a day later an employee going, that doesn't belong there, and put it back. And
right,
like, I mean, obviously they shouldn't do that, they should throw it away,
of course,
but like so there's no mold when it leaves their factories because that's just stupid. Why would we ever let that happen? But
right,
after that point, there are variables that we just can't control, and that's why every single product in that section, Google their name, put mold behind it. It just occasionally happens. I mean,
he explained hiring a controversial employee at 19 without a background check, because back then, background checks were just a playlist feature.
This is back when it was just a couple of my friends from high school, my mom. My videos were getting bigger. I needed more help. And so I walked in, because I'm dumb. Like, I probably should have gone on some site and hired people who had production experience, but instead I walked into my local Best Buy and I just hired multiple people. Obviously, when I was a teenager, I didn't know what a background check was. And I just hired a couple people there that wanted to help me make videos. One of them was the person named Delaware. And no, I did not know he was a registered sex offender. There's a rumor that's gone around that said that he sat me and my mom down and told us. Obviously, I don't remember that happening. And when I read that tweet, the first thing I did was I called my mom and I was like, hey, this is like 7 or 8 years ago. Just put this in context. 7 or 8 years ago, not indicative of my company today, but I was like, did this happen? Because someone's claiming this happened. My mom said, I would have literally quit, or honestly probably shut the business down before I ever let my teenage son hire a registered sex offender knowingly, which I have a very protective mom. So, I mean, even if you don't believe me, you should at least believe that. I feel like it's not absurd to believe that my mom wouldn't have knowingly let her teenage son hire a registered sex offender. Like, that just doesn't even, like, in what world does that even make sense?
The Jake Weddle Challenge controversy was addressed, emphasizing voluntary participation and mental health checks, proving it's not about breaking spirits, but building fair challenges.
You never know how someone's gonna react to something, right? It's impossible to fully predict, and so that's one of these variables of these challenges, which is why we give people the ability to quit, you know what I mean, or to leave at any point. And so in his video, he went 11 days, won $110,000. Right? I believe it was 11 days. Yeah. Yes. And then he decided to quit on that day. And, he mentions this in his video, like around day 11 or 12. I don't know what the day is off the top of my head, but he was struggling. And so we did turn off the lights. We sent a psychiatrist in there to check in on him. And we were like, yeah, he's not doing too well. And we ended the challenge and we paid him. Didn't go long enough where we got a video, so we didn't end up uploading it. But I think the big thing is just, that's why we allow people to leave these challenges. Like my goal when doing these obviously isn't to like break people mentally or push them past their limits. It's just to like create an environment where they can challenge themselves and do something interesting or cool. And then when they've had it, like leave, you know what I mean? So I guess that's kind of how I would describe it. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on what I'm saying?
I think that makes sense. It's important to note that it's also voluntary.
It's a voluntary challenge. You can leave at any point.
He refuted claims about unsafe workplace conditions during Beast Games, citing logistical hiccups but no broken bones because he breaks records, not contestants.
But I think in general, a lot of it has just been blown out of proportion. Like people have claimed like we didn't use unions because I didn't want to pay people fair money when that was just a flat out lie. We did use unions, and like that there are dozens of broken bones, and which is like crazy to think that I'd be like, oh, 10 people broke their bones? Let's keep filming, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't even make sense. After like that claim came out, like we literally called 1,950 contestants of the 2,000. We couldn't get a hold of all 2,000. I couldn't find a single broken bone. Yeah, online it's being claimed there's dozens. I mean, there's so much or even disinformation like that being spread.
Reflecting on the controversies, MrBeast acknowledged mistakes and promised to do better, because even a beast knows how to course correct.
I'm not perfect. I'm going to make mistakes. Even though I've done this, like this thing here, and we're addressing a lot of things, like I'm sure in the future I'll make more mistakes as well. Like that's just the nature of, you really have to just put yourself in the position of like, we're doing things that have never been done before. I'm like, who's even built a company this large on YouTube? Like everything I'm doing, from the videos to the spectacles to building the company, it's really never been done before. And your boy is going to make mistakes. And one thing I hope my track record shows is when I'm become aware of mistakes, I do everything in my power to try to fix them. You know what I mean? And I hope that's what my track record shows, and that's what I hope people take away from it. Not that I'm like perfect or I never did anything wrong. That just like, yeah, I mess up, and when I do, I try to fix it,
He responded to being labeled the Antichrist because apparently saving the world one video at a time is the devil's work now.
Dogpack actually cut a part out of his first video about you being the Antichrist. Did you see that?
I did.
What'd you think of that? I mean, you did get here a little fast, to be honest. You teleported.
The sad part is he was being serious in it. And,
yeah, he cut that part out.
And that he showed that part publicly, and people still were like, okay, well, Kim's saying Jimmy's the Antichrist because one of his studios was a church, because there's not many warehouses in North Carolina, so I just bought a church and converted it into a warehouse. And like, he unironically was claiming I was the Antichrist in the same video as all these other accusations, but everyone's like, oh, that's the only crazy accusation. Everything else is true. Mm-hmm. When I saw that, I was like, okay, now people are gonna like be like, okay, maybe he's just, but didn't change anything.
I mean, yeah, does it like bother you? Did that bother you specifically, or is it just, I mean, because like, how do you even, I'm
not the Antichrist. I mean, where's the Bible? Yeah, I'm not the Antichrist. There you go.
And now a palate cleanser.